Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, Magic key holders have some magic mail coming their way, some Candlelight Processional news, an undead Avenger is on the loose.
The Highway in the Sky has returned, a magical experience for a cast member. We talked to Jessica about being a pastry cook and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the DL Weekly podcast. Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding. If this is your first time listening, we hope you'll check out our website at DLWeekly.net. If you have more time to spend, becoming an official weekly tier at DLWeekly.net/support is an especially good value. Thanks for traveling with us today, and we hope you have a happy and memorable listen to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of October 20th, 2021. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tag Bushman. I can't believe that we're only like 11 days from the episode being posted till Halloween.
I know.
We would like to send a shout out and a special thank you to Patrice H. for increasing her support of the show. Of course, this support helps make DL Weekly possible. The weekly tiers in our supporter Discord chat are so amazing. There's always a lively discussion about Disney happening. This last weekend, we did a movie night for Hocus Pocus, which was a lot of fun. Our exchange students watched along with us. They really enjoyed the movie. We have more Halloween movies coming up later this month. We have a lot of things always going on in there. We're in the middle of Bounding Week, so with different themes and stuff for Halloween. So it's a great time to be in there. So if you'd like to become a weekly to yourself and have some more Disney magic in your day, head on over to DLWeekly.net/support to sign up.
It's that time again for our friend Eric over at Concierge to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concierge, and welcome to the D180, coming to you this week from the Grand Californian Resort and Spa at the Disneyland Resort. While Teg and Teresa cover all things Disneyland, in the D180 we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We start our journey out at sea on the Disney Wish. Not actually at sea, mind you. We still have to wait a few months for the new ship to set sail, but Disney continues to release new details about the ship. This week, the news is all about the hangouts for kids, teens, tweens, and even young adults. Cruises can be rough for some ages. Plenty to do for little kids and adults, but what about those in between? The Wish will have more than enough fun on board. Edge will be a club for kids aged 11 to 14. The space is designed to look like a New York City loft, complete with brick walls, plenty of metal accents, and a simulated skylight above. Around the room rest lounges, seats, space for meeting friends, gaming, or just spending a bit of time alone. Hang out at the soda bar and enjoy soda pop, or a Coke, depending on your regional preference. Head to Vibe if you're between 14 and 17 years old. This Parisian artist's loft features murals, neon lights, and a full-wall view of the ocean, giving you plenty of Insta-worthy views. Movies, games, and planned activities will keep you moving through the day. As night closes in, head next door to the Hideaway. At various points throughout the day, tweens, teens, and young adults up to 20 can show off their skills on the dance floor or at the karaoke machine. The disco-style space sparkles with actual disco balls. Time for a comeback? Maybe not. Everybody will want to join in the fun with the 3 to 12-year-old bracket. At Star Wars Cargo Bay, kids meet Rey and Chewie, learn to tame galactic creatures like Lothcats and Porgs, and save the ship from imminent disaster. On Mickey and Minnie's Captain's Deck, run through an interactive maritime playground. Become honorary captains while learning about imagination and science. Go on a scavenger hunt with Flynn Rider and Rapunzel at the Snuggly Duckling. Or train with Ant-Man and the Wasp at Marvel Superhero Academy. Help to write new stories for Belle to read at Belle's Library. Visit Anna and Elsa at their Sommerhus and reenact Queen Anna's coronation. Spoilers? I can never tell. Anyway, it's almost too much to do for one cruise. To get a sneak preview of The Wish, head to Disney's Hollywood Studios in Walt Disney World. The resort is celebrating its 50th anniversary, you know. Maybe you've heard me talk about it for months or something. Anyway, visit the exhibit area of One Man's Dream in the park to see a life-sized Cinderella maquette. Each Disney cruise ship has a large statue in its grand hall, and The Wish is no exception. This maquette is the model for The Wish's own central figure. Right now, you can see maquettes of the classic Disney figures that will get some recognition from 1923, the elegant restaurant on the ship styled after the golden age of Hollywood. Search for your ideal stateroom location on the 5 1/2 foot scale model of the ship. Disney is sure to add more details to this exhibit as they release them. With our feet firmly in Walt Disney World, let's get another update out of the way. You knew I'd come back to old WDW, right? Disney is about to make a small tweak to their classic pin trading program. The traditional method for trading, for those uninitiated to our procedures here, is to approach a cast member with a lanyard or pin board. You ask to look at their pins, and if one strikes your fancy, you swap it out for one of your pins. Disney pins only, please. Mickey-shaped pin boards will still be around at all of the pin stops, but aficionados will also find a blind box option. Pick a box numbered 1 through 24 and exchange your pin for a surprise one. What will it be? Will you trade it at the next pin stop for something you can see? I don't know. This whole thing is a little weird to me. Interesting to see how it plays out, though. And that's 180 seconds. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you'd like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both DL Weekly and us, their official travel planners, concierges. We look forward to planning something special for you and your family. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Now let's get to the news.
Well, to start the news off this week, we actually have a special guest with us. Her name is Jennifer, and she is the founder of the Pin and Pop Happy Haunts event this year for 2021. So welcome, Jennifer. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here and talk with you guys.
So can you just tell us a little bit of what Pin and Pop is?
So Pin and Pop is all about pin collecting and pin trading. So I discovered pin trading in 2011, and I just loved it so much. But being in the Midwest, it's hard to do. My husband and I, we kind of thought, what can we do to make this fun activity accessible for everyone? And every, kind of pin trader level or pin collector level out there. And so we started talking and putting together the site that allows you to easily manage your pin collection, as well as hosting trading events that anybody can come to and participate in online trading.
It looks so cool. So we actually got an invite from our friend Pinderella, who we had on a couple of, it's probably been almost close to a year now, but it feels like it was just a couple weeks ago.
Right.
But we got an invite from Emily, and I'm very excited about this. This looks very cool. We were chatting before we started the recording, and I was letting Jennifer know that I'm a newbie. My level is like trading with cast members. That's like the comfort level that I'm at right now. But even watching the tutorial video that you had put out for this event, explaining how the website works, already I feel like super comfortable. This looks like it's going to be a really fun thing to participate in.
Well, that was really kind of the starting place for us, was to think about how easy it is to go into the parks and trade with cast members. You just go up to them and say, I like this pin, and here's mine for trade. And it's really easy. And when you look at some of other online things, like there's a lot of messaging back and forth. Sometimes life gets in the way and you don't see those messages. So we really started to think about how can we make this easy so everyone can come and do it. Even kids that can come and trade their pins that they have, because I have kids and they always love trading. And so that's kind of where we started. We wanted to make it easy enough for people to come in, understand how they can offer their pins, and then see when they're accepted.
So the cool thing, like I said, I watched the fun little tutorial you had. The thing that was amazing to me, I thought, okay, online trading, I'm going to, I don't know, either take pictures of my pins or somehow show what pins I have out for trade and then just kind of scroll through, or maybe there'd be categories or, something. But no, you can actually go through. You already have images of pins listed, so I can go through and mark which pins I have, and I can say, this is one that I own, or this is one that I have to trade, so you can show off some pins without having to trade them. But then the other cool thing was it sounds like you can make lists. So you can say, I'm searching for these specific pins. So then when you're searching through the trade boards, it actually will highlight those pins for you to say, hey, this one right here, this is what you wanted. I was just easy. How easy is that? Floored.
That really is the exciting thing, is that at our trade events, we're seeing that over half of our trades are people's ISO pins. And even sometimes grails get traded, and that is so exciting. And a lot of that technology came from talking to the people that attended our trade events. We started out and they were like, we can't really tell if people need these pins or not. And so they would just offer all of their pins, and that can be overwhelming, right? They have 100 pins to go through. So we just started to think like, what would make this helpful to people? Kind of going back to that any level pin trader can do it. And we thought, well, people put in their ISOs already in our system, what they're looking for. So why don't we just do a great matching system for them to, highlight those pins that trader is looking for so that you can easily select them and offer those for trade.
It's so cool.
So the event. So what is the event? When is the event? Can people still sign up for the event? What are all the details for that for our listeners?
So the event is happening on October 23rd from 2 p.m. to 9 p.m. That's when our trade boards open, and we have 2 sections. We give you a break for dinner. We have 5 boards that open from 2 to 5, and then 5 boards that open from 6 to 9. So it gives people an opportunity to come in and, trade when they want to, and they need to do things, they can, and then come back. It's all done on our website, pinandpop.com. And so that's really kind of where we have it. We also do some games on Facebook. We play trivia. We do a trick or treat game, and then people can win prizes for that. So it's really kind of putting that in-person event all online.
That's so cool.
So when you have these pin boards online, now I'm curious. So are these are obviously like virtual pin boards? So when people are attending, do they place their pins there, kind of like a physical pin board, but it's all virtual?
Yeah, so a little bit. The way that we do it is that we have people that we invite to be on a pin board. And for this event, you could get a virtual table. And we just thought that would be easy for people to understand. They have a table, they go and display all their pins. So that's what our trade boards are. And so we put those pins on those boards. If you have like a general admission, it's kind of like when you go in person and just kind of, have those pins you're carrying around. So that would be our trade offers that you would offer those pins on those trade boards.
That's pretty cool. Like, I didn't even know, like, we knew Pinderella, and she has a website. She sells a lot through her Facebook group. But this is like a whole nother level of stuff that I didn't even know. The fact that you have like a database of different pins, and it looks like when you go to pinandpop.com, you can type in, you could search for pins or browse over 44,700 pins. And you can look, you guys even have the new ones that came from the D23 exclusive stuff that came out for the Muppets. And people could join for free to do their pin collection stuff. It's so cool.
Well, the other thing that, for me, being a nervous Nelly and new to this, that I always get worried about with trading with a person, I buy pins because I like pins. I don't really pay attention to like what the cost or worth is. I'm definitely not going to remember how much I paid for a pin, nor am I going to remember if it was like some sort of like special, like limited edition or, something like that. She has all that information uploaded in here for you. So when you're going to make a trade, like the quote unquote worth of your pin versus the worth of the other pin. So you don't like do something really dumb that you trade this like super rare pin for this like, oh, anybody could find that for $5 kind of a pin.
Yes, that's exactly right. We want to make sure you know all the information so that you can make the best decision for your trade. And then on the back end, the person that listed their pins, they get to go in and see all those offers. And then they get to make a decision of what pin they want to trade for that. So it really helps them assess the value too.
That's so cool.
I'm so excited for this. So I will be attending. We'll see how I do if I make any trades or not. Because like I said, I'm a newbie collector, so I don't have near the collection that others have. But I'm just excited to pop in there and see what this is all about. I hope some weekly tiers are able to join as well, because I know we have some fun pin traders with us here as well. And this just seems like such a easy, laid-back event. Now, one last question I have for you. So say you make a trade with someone. How do you do the switch?
Yeah, so that's something that we also help with any pin level, is that we offer trade protection. So what happens is that all the pins are sent to Pin and Pop, and we're able to make sure that pins are received, first of all, so you never lose your pins. And then we authenticate them for you. We know sometimes people get caught up in trading at the parks and they get fake pins, and that just happens. Everyone understands that. But it's just an opportunity for me to let other people know, hey, like this was a scrapper. You probably don't want to accept it. We take pictures of all the fronts of the pins, kind of look for flaws, all that stuff. Once all of that happens, and all the trade is accepted, then we ship out all those pins to all the different traders.
Wow.
Wow.
So
wow.
How much are tickets? Where can people get tickets?
So you can head over to pinonpop.com. On our front page is a link straight to our Happy Haunts event. Tickets are $5 for general admission, and they're $20 for a virtual table.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, so cool. So that general admission even gets you like so much protection because you've got someone double checking the pin for you. Because I'm fairly certain that I've done trades on cast member boards that were probably not real pins, but I loved them anyways, so I did it. And then later I was looking at it, I'm like, ooh, it just doesn't feel right, just doesn't look right. So it's nice that you have someone there to kind of guide you and help you with that, to be like, no, this isn't maybe one that you want. So that's an added bonus that I didn't even know came with this. So thank you so much, Jennifer, for putting on this amazing event. So we've got the event going this weekend. Say someone can't make this weekend, but they're interested. How often do you have these pin trading events?
So we try to have them about every 5 to 6 weeks. This is one of our bigger events. We do that twice a year. And so the time frame for that is a little bit longer. And then the holidays come up. So we'll see how we plan the next event, but starting in January, we really amp up those pin trading events. It's cold and you have something to do. So January, February, March, like all of those months, we try to host those events for pin trading.
So for anybody who wants more information, if you're writing down this stuff frantically, we do have it in the show notes at our website, DLWeekly.net. We also will make some social media posts this week that will also have the information. So if you need tickets or just want to go look at the database, maybe sign up for free and put all your pins in a collection or something, and I'm sure easily get sucked into an event here or there, you can get on and do that. So again, thank you, Jennifer, for sharing this with our listeners. And again, I just want to point out that Pinderella actually brought this to our attention. So anytime you guys hear about any events or anything that you think a greater community might be interested in, do drop us a line. We may not cover everything, but it is nice to cover an event like this that I think people are going to be interested in. And hopefully you have some weekly tiers at your event.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Well, Magic Key holders, be on the lookout for the Charter Member Welcome Package coming to your doorstep soon. Some Magic Key holders have already received their welcome package, which contains a button, lanyard, Magic Key pin, Disneyland map, and magnet. If you are not currently a Magic Key holder and would like to get one of these welcome kits, you have until October 30th.
Oh my gosh, time is ticking, because that was, 66 days from when they first released the keys to when this would be done. So that time just flew on past. So that's
this magnet.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think? We had a sneak peek of the merch before, but what do you, since we're getting a refresher of what the swag is for the Magic Key holders, for their, the Charter Member gift, what do you think of the lanyard, the pin, the magnet?
My two favorite things from this whole collection is going to be the pin, because I really like the pin, and the magnet. The map is cool, the button is cool, the lanyard is cool, but the two things that I really like out of this are the pin and the sticker. Or the magnet. The
map thing is very cool that they send with it, too. I like the style that they drew the Disneyland map in. Mm-hmm. One thing I'm going to have to remember to do, because we get a button with this, right? Well, the button actually has a section that it looks like they're kind of encouraging and wanting you to write something on it. It looks like a different variation of a celebration button. I'm going to have to remember, I'm going to have to take this maybe when we go to the parks next and have somebody that is like very good and very talented at drawing on buttons and writing on buttons fill mine in for me.
Yeah, because that's definitely not me or you, I don't think.
No, I can't. Some people there I've seen, guests with buttons, and I look at their buttons and I just get I get button envy, because I'm like, who did you find that did such a cool design and drawing, and there's cute little Mickey balloons or whatever. Some cast members just go way above and beyond on buttons.
Well,
it's
and
awesome.
they're really talented at handwriting and stuff. That's not me. I'd have to go through a lot of training.
Well, the rumors were true. The Disneyland Candlelight Processional is returning this year. The event will take place on December 4th and 5th in Town Square at Disneyland. So far, no word on who the narrators for the telling of the story of Christmas will be. We did get this news right from Mice Chat, so we do have the full article linked in the show notes if you would like to take a peek.
I mean, this is a tradition. I'm glad that they're bringing it back. We talked a little bit about this when we talked about the permits that had been filed a few episodes ago. It's kind of interesting because Disneyland, it's amazing. People said that it is like a bucket list item that people should try to get to and attend if they can. It's definitely pared down from like Epcot, because Epcot's, I think they have one at Epcot out in Disney World from like the end of November through like Christmas.
Yes.
And it's like a jillion nights, like every night kind of a thing. But theirs is done in one of their venues that they have there and all that kind of stuff, where this takes over Town Square. I don't think people would want to be having Town Square taken up that entire time. I'm excited. It's always great to see who the narrators and stuff were. I really enjoyed when Chris Pratt did it, because he had that little mix-up in the story, which was funny from a couple years ago. So is this on your bucket list for Disney?
100%, for sure.
You just got to get there one of these times.
Yes.
Well, on Friday, October 15th, the Disneyland monorail returned to service. I am exceptionally happy about this. Transporting guests along the 2.5-mile highway in the sky. Monorail Red and Monorail Blue are operating on the line for now. Guests are required to wear a mask while on board.
So this was obviously very exciting for the monorail to come back. There was, with anything, there were a couple of hiccups with its return. It did sound like there were a couple of times that things happened, and unfortunately people had to be in the monorail for extended periods of time while they got things fixed, but overall everything was great. I think one of the reports I read said that they were on the monorail for like a half an hour, and if you remember, the monorail does not have a working air conditioning, so it got a little toasty in there. But
I did see a video, and I don't remember where. I think it might have been Fresh Baked, actually, now that I think about it, where they were on Monorail Blue. They made it all the way to the Downtown Disney station and left. And they were right as you're about to enter Tomorrowland, like right there along Harbor Boulevard, like on the beam, getting ready to go in. And Monorail Red had like passed them and then stopped on the beam and was sort of moving, and then it would stop, and then it was sort of moving, and it would stop.
That may have been what I had heard about.
Yeah,
it was some weird,
Monorail
they
Red was having problems.
Yeah, it was starting and stopping, and they weren't quite sure what was going on, but. Of course, the monorails, they have been testing them. They were testing them when we were there in September. But, there's always going to be some hiccups, I feel.
I'm just excited because it's back.
Yes.
And I'm hoping that the next time we are there, they will be running, because I have missed riding the monorail.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it will be running next time we're there. Weekly tiers who have been watching the What If series on Disney Plus will recognize a new character variation at Avengers Campus for the Oogie Boogie Bash. Zombie Captain America is meandering around looking for guests to infect and turn into zombies.
Yes.
So I have not been watching the What If. So when I first saw Zombie Captain America, I was pretty thrown off. I was like, I'm sorry, what? What happened to Cap? But it looks great.
It does.
The person that's friends with Zombie Captain America is doing a very good job. It was fun because the cast member that was kind of there, that was like the handler in one of the videos I watched, kind of said, if you want to take pictures with Zombie Captain America, please line up over here. If you just want to watch and watch Zombie Captain America do their thing, please stand over here. So I like how they had like a here's your separate viewing, like this is the area to view and this is the area to like come and meet.
You haven't watched any of the What If stuff?
I have not.
You should. They're very good. They're not very long, and it's good. And I think it's going to integrate with future Marvel movies. So I think you need to kind of know that stuff, because the zombie What If timeline or whatever was kind of interesting. But it's neat that I love that they're taking these Disney Plus characters and putting them into Avengers Campus. It makes me very happy that they're doing that. Of course, we had
Loki.
We had Loki from Loki. We had Wanda and Agatha now from WandaVision. We had Sam's version of Captain America.
Or the new Captain America.
Yeah, it's so cool that they're like bringing all these things in, and people seem to get really excited seeing characters that they've just like watched on Disney Plus and like are now in the park. This Friday, October 15th, another former piece of entertainment will return to Disney California Adventure. Disney Junior Dance Party, which features songs, special effects, and characters from Disney Junior TV shows, will run multiple times daily. There will be some modifications to the format, allowing for physical distancing and how the audience is seated.
This is not something that I personally would ever go experience. It's because obviously this is more kind of geared towards kids.
Yeah.
It's a Disney Junior dance party. But the thing that I found so exciting about this was it's Disney Entertainment and it's returning, so that just makes me excited to see these things coming back, because that just means other things that we love and enjoy will hopefully soon be coming back as well. Very excited about this. I do want to note there was kind of a little bit of back and forth on this, and I can understand it. The one thing that's a little iffy about this, though, is the Disney Junior dance party takes place inside of a building on Buena Vista Street.
Yep.
And so some people were kind of wondering,
on Hollywood Boulevard.
On Hollywood Boulevard. So some people were kind of questioning why have this event inside, because there was a lot of, and it was a good suggestion that there's that stage back on the Hollywood backlot. Why not utilize that outdoor space instead? Possibly promote better social distancing and, that kind of thing. So, yeah, so that was a little iffy, but obviously since it is indoors, masks are required. I'm sure they're going to try and do as much social distancing as they can, but it is a dance party, so it's kind of hard to stay too far away from each other during your dance party. But it definitely needs some modifications, and I'm sure that they probably will be kind of looking at this and keeping an eye on it, just because of this, the pandemic and the situation that we are in. With less than 4 weeks away to the holiday season at Disneyland, Mickey and Minnie's outfits for the season were previewed on the Disney Parks blog. Magic Key holders may be able to see the new outfits sooner at the Starcade experience now through October 30th. Matching Mickey and Minnie plush were also unveiled for the season, along with new ears, spirit jersey, shirts, backpack, and more. The holiday season at Disneyland runs from November 12th through January 9th.
I'm really glad. So there's been some people that have complained about, reservations for the key holders and all these different things. But I feel like we're getting a lot more stuff now than we did as annual pass holders previously. The fact that you can go and see Mickey and Minnie in their outfit for the season early is super cool. They have these they have the terrace where you can go get food. They have the Starcade thing now through the end of the month. Just all these little things. I just think it's kind of cool. The holiday, their outfits are cute. They're a little different than they have been in the past.
Yes.
I think Mickey's in a poofy jacket and Minnie's in a cute little skirt with some leggings. And the plush look exactly like they do, which is kind of cool. The ears, what do you think of these ears? You're an ears person.
These ears. I like these ears a lot. These will probably end up in my collection. I do. I quite like them. They're very cute. The ears themselves are white, and they have Chip and Dale and Pluto and some other of our favorite characters doing different wintertime activities, whether it's sledding or snowboarding or skiing. And then there's also a snow-covered Sleeping Beauty castle along in that print. And then the bow is this nice bright red plaid bow. And it's kind of more than just a regular bow. It to me it looks like, yes, the bow, but it also kind of has the tails of the bow too. So it's not just kind of like Christmas, like a Christmas present wrap. I think they're fun. I actually quite like the spirit. The spirit jersey has that same type of print as far as the wintertime activities for our friends. It has that print. I like it. I do really like it.
Yeah, it's not bad. There's a shirt here too that I kind of enjoy.
The button-up shirt?
It's the button-up shirt that has some different things. And then, what do you think? You're a backpack person. What do you think of the backpack?
Not my cup of tea for the backpack.
Gotcha. Yeah,
cute,
it's
but
kind of
just
that
not my
Loungefly style, but it's not a Loungefly backpack. I think they're cool. If you're a Magic Key holder, if you can get there before the end of the month, you can catch their outfits and
So
stuff.
I need to point this out. This is something really ridiculous, but I was really happy and excited about these. Mickey and Minnie's shoes. Have you seen them? They're very cute. They've got boots on, and the boots are kind of more like a dark blue and kind of almost look like they're velvety or something. But they have ties. I don't know why. I think it's so cute that they've got laces. Minnie's got fur around the tops of her boots. They're just so cute. It's, again, ridiculous. Why I even noticed their footwear, I don't know, but the footwear is just extra cute.
I was going to say, of all the things for you to pick up on.
I know. I also very much like Minnie's leggings. She's got these dark blue leggings with snowflakes on them that are super adorable.
Would you wear this outfit?
I would wear that outfit, yes.
Yeah.
I would wear Minnie's outfit. Would you wear Mickey's?
I would. It's, it seems pretty normal. It's nothing too crazy.
No, yep.
Well, the walls in Toontown have been adorned with new decorations. The punny new graphics on the panels are a great fit for Toontown, like the panel that states, "Our remodel is popping at the seams," with popcorn bursting out the sides, since it will be the future home of the El Capitan Theater.
Something, I mean,
There's
really,
a jillion of these.
in the grand scheme of things, this was something very minor that Disney did, but is so fun, is so in theme, and so on point to Toontown. I just really love that they put in all these extra details.
World premiere coming Toon. The old theater's getting a tune up.
Yep, you'll really love it.
Yeah.
It's super cute, very punny.
Who sits and does puns all day?
Isn't that crazy that that's a job? But then it's also got fun stuff like, this is the Chinny Chin Chin Construction Company project. And there's all these other little Easter eggs of all these maybe lesser known tunes. Like right there, plan your trip to Lester's Possum Park today. And there's little like tickets that you could take off of it. Like you're going to call and get Lester's Possum Park. I can't even say it. Lester's Possum Park.
I do like 1923-ish square feet for lease because that was the year that the Disney company was established.
Mm-hmm. And that's Peg Pete. That's she's also another Disney character that very rarely do you see. But it's just so cool that they've got all these little Easter eggs.
Guaranteed to be 100% wolf-proof.
Yep.
Valid only on all brick construction.
There you go. Have you seen this cat contact Minnie Mouse? Because apparently Minnie has lost her kitty cat.
Isn't that Figaro?
It looks like Figaro, but I don't know why we'd be calling Minnie for Figaro. So perhaps Minnie has Figaro's doppelganger cat.
There you go.
I don't know. Again, super simple, but very fun. Outdoor signage has begun to appear for the new Plaza Point holiday shop on Main Street. A new quote is above the door declaring, "Where every day is a holiday." Gold window lettering has appeared on the windows facing Main Street with various sayings, and the new Plaza Point holiday shop marquee has gone up.
I feel like this... I mean, I guess I'm not that surprised that it's been kind of fast, but I feel like this is going really fast. This painting and stuff it's just, I love the art, like the craftsmanship of this stuff. These signs on the windows that we talked about, they remind me of the signage that's on Buena Vista Street. Because it's like really, it's gold and it's got that same kind of thing. I don't know.
Very ornate.
I guess I just didn't see that much of this type of ornamentation on Main Street.
It makes sense, though, with it being a holiday shop to have the extra level of ornamentation.
I'm excited for this shop. There used to be a Christmas shop in Disneyland years ago, and it
they
kind of
have
disappeared.
The holiday shop, I believe it's still there, the one that's back in just behind the castle next to Peter Pan. I don't remember what that... It's mostly ornaments. I also bought a Christmas stocking from them, too. I don't remember... I don't remember what that
shop, right? Like before.
Yes, I don't remember what the holiday shop is called. Maybe it's just called the holiday shop.
Because I liked it when it was in Norland Square, because it used to be in Norland Square, and I thought it fit well there. Anyway, I'm excited to see what the inside looks like once it opens. Well, some Disneyland Resort cast members made some magic for one of their own recently. Joe Johnson was making his dream of being a cast member come true working at Disneyland on the Storybook Land canal boats. He wanted his family to come and visit from Georgia for his first days on stage, but it looked like that would not be able to happen. Well, Joe's trainers and other cast members worked with Joe's father to create some magic and make the visit a reality. Joe's father was able to meet him on the job that day and make his dream a reality.
It was so cute. They did a really nice write-up in the Disney Parks blog of this story. But basically, it sounded like they made it a total surprise for Joe and got it so that his father was kind of got himself in a way where then Joe had to like turn around and like address him, thinking it was just some other, some guest, and then all of a sudden it's his dad. I thought that was so fun and so sweet, and what a great supportive family to make this happen and to be there for their son on their first day on their first days of a cast member.
Yeah, that was so cool that they made that happen, and I'm glad that it was able to happen. It's good to see the cast members have some really positive things going on.
Well, and the other cool thing too is, we forget that, sure, the cast members are making magic for each other, but this was a brand new cast member. So this wasn't somebody that they knew that well, that they did all of this for and went and, helped make this happen. So that's just hats off. Cast members are the magic makers. Mm-hmm. And I think it's so cool that they, even on occasion, are able to make magic for each other.
Yeah. We hear about them making magic for guests all the time, but the fact that they can make magic for each other, like you said,
yes,
totally awesome.
Very cool.
Psst. Avast there. It'd be too late to alter course, mateys. And there be trivia questions lurking in every cove, waiting to be answered. Listen close and keep your ruddy Disney knowledge handy. That be the best way to answer correctly. And mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tales. Here comes seeking questions and long-lost Disney information, eh? Sure, you come to the proper place, but keep a weather eye open, mates, and hold on tight, with both hands, if you please. There be squalls ahead, and James and Vern waiting for them what don't answer correctly.
Welcome to Trivia Land. How we feeling tonight? You excited? You think you're going to get them all right?
I mean,
If only.
we'll find out.
Yeah? Okay, well, tonight we have...
If you ask any pin questions, though, Teresa's on a pin trading site right now, so maybe you should be less distracted, Teresa.
Well, thankfully, we don't have any pin questions tonight, so she won't be able to cheat or give herself any hints or anything. But we do have 4 listener-submitted questions and a bonus round of What Queue Are You In? So, you ready to get going?
Yes.
Excellent. Your first listener-submitted question from listener Whitney N. A beloved song that you know as Grim Grinning Ghosts has an alternate title. Do you know that title? And bonus if you know the composer.
Oh my gosh.
Has an alternate title.
The only other thing I could think would be like Happy Haunts. I'm trying to think of what else they say in the, I'm going to say
the alternate title is 999 Happy Haunts, because that sounds like something
Sure.
you would title it.
I
have
think-
no idea of the composer, which is funny because Chris M. just popped in, so I feel like...
Dang. So you mean like the same song that we hear in the Haunted Mansion now
Grim Grinning Ghosts come out to socialize.
has some other
has
title.
an alternate title. And
The only thing I can think of is like something with Happy Haunts. What did you say? 999?
999 Happy Haunts. See, I thought it was X Atencio
Yeah.
too.
I think it's X. But composer is this is me not being very smart with music stuff.
Me either.
Composer is like the melody and such.
Yeah.
It's not the...
It's not the Sherman
I was
Brothers,
going to say,
I
it's
don't
not the
think.
Sherman Brothers, is it? I feel like they did a lot of the...
Well, they
Okay.
did like It's a Small World and
So
stuff,
I'll
but
say
I don't know.
X.
Atencio?
Yep, X Atencio. I'm going to say Happy Haunts.
Okay.
I don't know.
So we have almost the same answer. Except for I have 999 in front of my Happy Haunts.
Final answers?
Yeah,
Final
I think so.
answers.
Okay. Your second question from listener Stephen S. The original concept for this ride featured Mel Brooks, who later inspired the idea for the ride mechanic. What is this ride?
I feel like I know this one somewhere in my brain. Mel Brooks. Because Mel Brooks is the one who did Spaceballs, wasn't it?
And Blazing Saddles.
And Blazing
Willy
Saddles.
Wonka, and I might be wrong.
Do you
on
know?
Willy Wonka.
What time frame did those movies come out?
They were like the 70s.
Yeah, the 70s. Because I'm thinking, right, like funny, punny kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. But he wasn't in the final attraction.
The ride mechanic. Is that like a character, like a mechanic, like a person, or like the mechanics, like how the ride worked?
The ride mechanic.
Oh. So there's a mechanic.
I'm even more confused now that I asked for clarification. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Well, I can't say too much or I give
Mel
things away.
Brooks.
No spoilers.
Mechanic. Like who? Like what rides have mechanics?
There's a grave digger in the Haunted Mansion.
Could it be
Or the
some?
groundskeeper.
Could it be something like? Could it be something more
Don't
recent?
limit yourself
It would
to
have to
current
be.
attractions.
Oh, it could be former attractions. Now I'm trying to think of former.
Is there a mechanic with something to do with the Jungle Cruise?
I don't know. He said don't limit yourself to current attractions, so I'm thinking maybe it was... No.
So this attraction doesn't even exist?
Anymore?
All I said was don't limit yourself to current attractions.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. Can we have a hint if it's DCA or Disneyland?
DCA.
Oh, okay. Mechanic. See, I wanted to say Radiator Springs Racers in the beginning, because, like, does Mel Brooks do, like a voice or something?
That's the only thing I can
I'll
figure
say
is
Radiator
Racers.
Springs Racers.
Yeah. I'll say Racers as well.
Final answers?
Or not, it's not like Luigi's Flying Tires or anything, is it? Or
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'll stick with Radiator Springs Racers.
Question number 3, submitted by listener Liberty M. In the early days of the Haunted Mansion, what caused some crew members of the janitorial staff to not come back to work?
Was it the...
The cleaning of...
No.
people are-
Well, no, in the early days. So I'm thinking, was this the... Oh, so now, okay, is this in the actual attraction, or is this in the leading up to the attraction?
In the attraction. The
Oh, okay, in
attraction
the
is open.
Okay. I'm going to say probably the ballroom scene with the reflections and stuff, because I can see that being, like, really creepy still.
See, I went somewhere totally different, and I thought it was because them having to clean up human remains because people
they still
will
have to do
still
that.
spread ashes. But maybe that has caused some
That's
people
true.
to say, nope.
That's true.
And your final listener-submitted question for today comes from Kayla Jean. What opening day attraction blew several fuses, causing a power outage?
Oh, dang it. Wasn't it like... Was it Toad?
Opening day. Fuses. I think it was something in Fantasyland.
Something in my gut is telling me Mr. Toad, so I'm sticking with Toad.
You're probably right, but I'm going to say Peter Pan.
Final answers on those?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And for your bonus tonight, a round of What Queue Are You In? Remember, you get your first 2 clues for an opportunity for 1 full point, and then your last 2 clues for an opportunity for half a point. Your first clue. You walk under the People Mover.
You just depressed tag.
Well, walking under the People Mover could be like a jillion
Yes.
attractions.
We walked under the People Mover.
Like, you're talking about the People Mover track or the People Mover, like, loading area?
Specifically the track.
Yeah. So that's like everything in Tomorrowland.
Mm-hmm.
Your second clue. You can see the Astro Orbiter.
That's also most
Like,
of Tomorrowland.
yeah.
So,
Hold on, I'm trying to
Buzz
think, like...
or Star Tours?
Could also be space. Oh, no, space, the thing goes around, so it's
Yeah,
not
it goes
space.
around.
Could also be subs. Could also be the monorail.
Can you... I'm going off the being able to see the Astro Orbiter. I've got it narrowed down to those
Oh, the
two.
Astro Orbiter. That's the front.
The front, yep. So I think it's either Star Tours or Astro Blasters.
You don't go under the People Mover in the queue for Star Tours, but you do the Astro Blasters because the line is outside and it sneaks in.
Oh, we're in the queue?
you are in the queue.
Oh, yes.
That's why it's
then
called What
Buzz.
Queue Are You In?
Yeah, so I'm going to say Buzz Lightyear, final answer, lock me in for
Me
the full
too.
point.
I'm going to be locked in at
Locked
Buzz
in
Lightyear
for the
as
full
well.
point on Astro Blasters, both of you.
Yes.
Yeah, but now give
All
us
right.
the next clues.
So your third clue, you can see the castle.
That's Buzz Lightyear.
And your fourth cue, the queue itself takes you along the backside of Pixie Hollow.
Yep. Boom.
So you're both claiming you
Good-
were in Buzz Lightyear's
good-
Astro.
We don't know
catch.
for sure, but I'm thinking
Good catch with you had to be in the queue to go under the monorail beam. Or monorail.
the People Mover.
Under
beam.
the People Mover
So you're
track.
locking in on that. All right. Well, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home or in your car or wherever you are? Keep listening after the discussion topic and we'll all find out together.
For our discussion topic this week, we are bringing on another former cast member. This time, we are bringing on Jessica, who was a pastry cook at the Contemporary and the Wilderness Lodge out in Walt Disney World. So, welcome to the podcast, Jessica. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. Of course,
you
we're sitting here talking Disney.
Yeah, I was going to say, are you excited to chat Disney with us? Because we're excited to hear your stories.
Very much. I love Disney.
Well, let's kind of start at the beginning for you. So can you tell us what your Disney story is? So this is basically just, kind of how you grew up with it or how you kind of became the Disney fan you are today.
Oh, sure. I mean, my story goes way back. I mean, I wouldn't have this love for Disney if not for my mom having a love of Disney. And I think it went back to her mom. Growing up, we always had those old VHS tapes. We had, Cinderella, Snow White, Pinocchio, and those were like the only videos we owned. So it's just such a deep-rooted nostalgia. I mean, my grandma took my mom and her brother to Disney World when they were little. And then my mom and my dad took me and my brothers to Disney World when we were little. And so it's just such a deep-rooted, ingrained part of our family that it's less... it's not like, ooh, Disney, the park, but it's like a happy place for us. It's something that's very emotional for me, but I don't know. It's something deeply rooted in my childhood, and it's always been associated with happy memories and just good feelings.
That's awesome. I love that.
When you go to now, have you been to Disneyland before?
I have not been to Disneyland. I can't wait to go.
Okay, so when you go to the Magic Kingdom on the first day of a visit, which way do you go? Do you go left towards Adventureland? Do you go through the castle towards Fantasyland? Do you go right towards Tomorrowland? Kind of what's your game plan on that first day?
Absolutely left, because I read a book, about how they were laying out the parks, and you got to go chronological. So you got to start at the beginning of time when you're in like the whole adventure fantasy realm, move up towards, colonial America, and then you're over into the future. So it's like you got to take this trip through time and space.
I don't think I've ever put that together.
I haven't either. It just blew my mind. But it makes total sense.
It would feel wrong to start in Tomorrowland. It's all magical and wonderful, no matter which way you go. But I just feel like I would want to go left, because that way I can see everything in the order in which it was placed there by the park designers. That's how I kind of interpret it.
Dang.
I feel like we have to pay attention to this now when we go in the future.
No. What do you mean pay attention? It makes total sense.
It does, but but I feel like it makes more sense at Disney World because now we have Galaxy's Edge, which kind of comes off of Critter Country and Frontierland, which kind of is weird. The only thing that doesn't fit perfectly into this whole equation, or maybe it does, I guess, is Fantasyland, because you're going through Adventureland, Frontierland, like old school, like you're going through Liberty Square, and then you have Fantasyland, which I guess is timeless.
It still kind of fits, because, I think it still works.
I like it, though. I've never thought of it that way. Have you?
No, I think it's brilliant.
It seems so obvious now that you've said it.
Yes, it does.
I think it was like the hidden magic of Walt Disney World, this little travel guide, and I picked up on that fact, and I'm like, wow, I can't believe that they thought about the fact that it's supposed to kind of pull you through time. And I can understand how, like, Fantasyland, that's really beyond the realm of reality, but it's still what I would consider to be outside of time, so that kind of belongs in the present, and then you can continue on into the future and space, and that exploration kind of.
That is so cool. Okay, we can end the podcast now. Like,
no, now my mind is blown. I'm sitting here pondering this.
I know. Like you said, it feels pretty like, why did we not pick up on this? Maybe that's why we feel so discombobulated, because we always like to go left too. And there's been a couple of times that we, for one reason or another, were not able to start left, and we felt so out of whack. It wasn't even it was weird.
It's really dumb because we didn't go in our normal order, and then I think one of the days we went out of order for like the first hour or two, and Teresa said, we're all discombobulated, maybe we should start back. So we kind of reset, and then everything felt right again. It was very weird. It's weird how your brain works, I guess.
Oh man, that's
what the Disney Imagineers were thinking the whole time. There's just a certain flow. They're beyond. They know what we need internally, so they're looking out for that.
There you go. Well, speaking of different parts of the park, what is your favorite attraction? So even though this is a Disneyland podcast, you can pick any attraction from any Disney park. So it could be overseas, wherever.
Okay, so I am a huge roller coaster fan. Like, love it. If it goes fast, I'm on it. What is that one in Hollywood Studios?
Oh, Rock and Roller Coaster?
Rock and Roller Coaster. Love that one. Fast takeoff. Even Hollywood Tower of Terror. Massive drop. Love the thrills. But if you're going to ask me what my favorite attraction is, it's got to be Haunted Mansion. Just because I've got that deep-rooted nostalgia, and I remember being a little kid, and it was so spooky and creepy, and I loved it, and I was, like, scared, but it was, the music. I've listened to that music for years. I love Grim Grinning Ghosts, and I knew that one day when I got back to Disney World, that was the first ride I was going to go on, and honestly, it's not as scary as I remember, obviously, but it's just such a beautiful ride, and it just kind of ties into, yes, Disney is pretty and magical, but there can also be like this fun, creepy side of it, and I think Haunted Mansion totally encapsulates that part of it.
See, I was going to ask my normal follow-up question, because anytime people say Haunted Mansion or Pirates, I'm trying to figure out what makes these older attractions so popular today. Is it a nostalgia thing, or is it anything in particular? Because it's not like the ride system is anything new and fancy or anything like
thrill.
What is it? So, and you explained that beautifully. Like, it was a combination of things. You have a little bit of nostalgia with it too, but it's a combination of other things as well. So interesting to have it answered that way, because sometimes people can't come up with answers. Like, I don't know. It's just like Walt Disney worked on it, or or whatever. So it's kind of one of those interesting situations. So I don't
think it's just nostalgia. Sorry. I don't think it's just nostalgia. I mean, just the rides themselves. When I got back there as an adult, I was just realizing how immersive the ride actually is. Like with Pirates of the Caribbean, for example, when you enter the area where you're on the ship and you can see the cannons blowing, it was real. You were on like these dark waters and you could see the town burning in the distance. You can smell the smoke. Or with Haunted Mansion, when you're in the room with the mirrors, you can't comprehend what you're seeing. So part of that magic is just the fact that they were able to take this ride that moves slowly and you're hearing music, but you are experiencing something that is so beyond the realm of reality. That's what makes it really cool and immersive. And I think they do that with every one of their rides, but just the fact that they came up with these so long ago makes it really amazing. And that's part of it.
Yeah. Well, and then, you're right. All of the rides and all the attractions kind of transport you, but some of them just do it better. Like, I'm thinking, like Winnie the Pooh, like, oh, it's cute. It's kind of like you're in the storybook, but it's just not quite the same level as immersion, because you're right. These other attractions, they've got your smell, your sights, everything. It's so funny because even though I'm an adult and I know that I have seen aerial photos of how these ride buildings are, I still am convinced that when I walk in the mansion and go in the stretching room, I'm somehow in the same exact building that I saw, I'm still in the mansion, even though I know it is not, everything is not somehow stuffed in that tiny little facade. But I'm just convinced. Same thing with Splash Mountain. Like, my brain thinks that I'm somehow in the log mountain thing the entire time, even though clearly that's not possible.
Well, you and I, so this brings up a good point too. You're talking about immersiveness, and I know you and I disagree on something. So in Disneyland, we have Alice in Wonderland, and I said how much the outdoor portion I love. And that's my favorite part of that attraction, is because you're out on this vine that kind of goes around, you're above everybody else. There's just something that's really magical to me about that. And you actually think that takes away from the immersion of the attraction, which I can understand why you feel that way. But I feel like if that section wasn't there, I wouldn't care as much about the attraction. It'd just be another dark ride. But I feel like because it has that outdoor section, it's better. It's like Peter Pan, right? The thing about Peter Pan is you're flying around. That no other dark ride, you're flying above everything. So it's very it's interesting how people can come to the same attraction and have different opinions.
Definitely.
Well, now let's get into the bulk of it. So what did you do? Can you talk a little bit about what your job was?
Oh, no. We need to start before that.
Oh, goodness.
How did you decide, or how did you apply? I mean, you live in Wisconsin now.
Yes.
So how did you decide, I really want a job at Disney World or Disney, with the Disney company? What did that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's a long story. I'll start at the beginning.
That's
but
good.
Basically, I knew as like a kindergartner that I wanted to be a baker. Or specifically a chef. I didn't even know what a baker was, but I knew I liked sugar and I knew I liked being in the kitchen. And I knew I liked Disney. I just didn't think I could bring all of those things together.
Yeah.
But around 7th grade, when they're like, okay, you got to start thinking about what's your job going to be? What do you want your career to be? What are you going to be when you grow up? I kind of narrowed it down. And I was like, okay, if this is a possibility, I want to work for Disney World and I want to be a pastry chef. And so the college that I was looking at the time, it's a baking and pastry course that I took at Le Cordon Bleu. Once I was taking a tour there and I saw that they had a recruitment program with Disney, close ties. Like they send the recruiter every semester and they said they take interns there to do their final 4 months of schooling at Disney. So you can take some training and, they'll employ you. So I was like, well, that's a done deal. I'm going to this college. So I moved to the cities and I went to Le Cordon Bleu. And after 18 months, I finally took that horrible, wonderful interview with the recruiter who was just absolutely the sternest looking man I've ever met in my life. It was nerve-wracking to say the least, because this was my in to Disney World. Mm-hmm. And I knew if I didn't nail this interview, it was going to be really hard for me to get there. Honestly, I burst into tears the second I got out of the interview, but they said I did great and I got this part. So I knew I got the externship down to Disney World and I spent 4 months down there. First at the Contemporary Resort, I got to work in the kitchen of, we kind of popped around. They took all the interns. I got to spend 2 weeks doing Chef Mickey desserts, so buffet style, all the miniature desserts that you see in the Contempo Cafe or Chef Mickey's. And then they took me over to the pastry section where they made all the gourmet desserts for the executive restaurant on top of the resort, Cal Grill. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where they made the high-end stuff, strawberry fritters and Boston cream pie and all these really fancy high-end desserts. And then I got to work on cakes, so frosted cakes for birthdays and amenities where we would dip chocolate covered strawberries and send them up to rooms for important guests. And that was really great. So after 4 months at the Contemporary, I decided I wanted to stick around. So I extended my program for another 4 months and they moved me over to the Wilderness Lodge, where I got to experience working in a bit of a smaller kitchen, but it was definitely more of a homey, more just down to earth wilderness style desserts. So chocolate cake and apple pie, and actually one of my favorite things to this day, we made this corn flavored croissant bread pudding.
Oh,
it sounds weird, but it's so good. Basically, you steep corn in cream and milk, and then you make a corn anglaise, and then you soak old croissants, and then it gets all bread puddingy, and that's one of my favorite things to this day. But I really loved working there, and yeah, I basically spent every free minute that I had outside of work in the parks. I had to do and see everything, and it was amazing. It really was.
That's so cool. So you were there a total then of 8 months. That's really neat that they allowed you to extend your internship out and be able to do and see more. That's super cool.
Yeah, so it was an initial 4 months, but I could have extended it for 4 and then another 4 up to a year, at which point I would be able to apply for a part-time job. And I decided to come back. All of my family is in La Crosse, so it's a little hard being so far away. And after 8 months, I kind of felt like I had done everything there was to do, seen everything there was to see, but Disney truly is a place for friends and family. So to be there alone was a little...
a little different, I'm sure.
Well, plus, even compared to the Midwest, the heat and humidity down there and everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to get away from the winter, I assume, of Wisconsin, but...
I hate to contradict you, but I loved the heat.
Did you?
Did you?
I did. I mean, being able to go out at 11 o'clock at night and it's like 84 and sticky, I loved it.
Oh, I grew up in
But
California. We had dry heat, so.
Granted, in the commons where they kept all the interns, we had a pool. So if I didn't have access to a pool, I'd probably feel differently.
So speaking of that, being an intern there, did they provide housing, or were you on your own trying to figure out where to live for that extended period of time?
No, they definitely provided housing. I don't think you'd be able to work for the program unless you lived in their like designated complexes. So for my example, I mean, they had 3 different complexes. I think I was in Chatham Square, and how they did it is they would take like 8 random girls and stuff them all in a room. And we had 4 rooms, 2 girls per room. The roommate experience was not very Disney. But I spent minimal time in that apartment. I basically spent, like I said, every minute in the parks. But it was pretty cool because that was like a great way to meet other Disney-loving people. I wish that I had been put with girls that also shared my schedule. For example, I had to go into work at like 5 in the morning, and they were coming back at like 8 o'clock at night. So I didn't really get to interact with them a lot, and there was like some tense airs when people would be, you know, making a lot of noise at night. But it honestly was a good way to make some new friends, and I got to meet a lot of great people when I was down there.
That's so cool.
All right. I have to ask, because you're talking about desserts and pastry and like all this stuff, and Disney is like known for their sweets and all of their stuff. So I assume I'm going to ask, it may sound like a dumb question, but so did you get to make like really cool looking things that like Mickey shaped or character shaped, or some of those crazy things that you see in the parks that they do that look like, how can they mass produce this for hundreds of guests a day, or if not more? Did you get to do that type of stuff, or was it more smaller scale?
Well, I'm not so much, let's see. I don't think I made anything that would have been served to a guest per se, but I do have a specific example. When I was at the Contemporary for Easter, I think this was around, they bought in these chocolate eggs and they wanted us each to decorate them. And I ended up decorating my chocolate egg. I put 2 ears on it, and then I covered the whole thing with like a repeating design of the Mickey shape. So it was like this spirally effect. It was really cool. And the head chef liked it so much, he ended up putting it like on the top floor for the elite guests to see. So that was a really fun, like just artistic food project that I got to do. And to have the head chef at like the Contemporary or the head pastry chef compliment me on that, that was a great honor.
That's super cool. So your time there, was it more just kind of like you weren't necessarily, you were working obviously, but it wasn't like you were working in the kitchens mass producing this stuff for guests? Was it kind of more of like a teaching and like learning experience, or what was that exactly like?
It was hands-on. Basically, what they would do is we would get a good amount of training with each of the stations that we were put on. But once we got the grasp of what we were supposed to do, even with like the little things, like all the little key lime tarts and the cookies that went out to Chef Mickey's, it's fairly easy to pick up if you have any experience in a kitchen. So we would have free reign to basically take on those roles ourselves and do them. So it was like a job, but we were able to ask questions, and it was a very tightly run ship. I mean, we would have meetings every morning to like discuss safety technique, and they were really on it. I mean, it was very professional, and I really respected them for that. So
in places you've worked since then, or maybe even before then, did it seem like Disney was like a really great place to work in this field? Like, it seemed like it was a good working environment. You learned a lot of stuff. They had very high standards, that kind of thing. Or was it kind of like it wasn't as fun, and maybe some other thing you've done since then has been a better fit, maybe, or something?
I think it depends on your perspective of what you're looking for in a career. So on the one hand, Disney has amazing benefits and programs available to their employees. They have paid breaks and cafeterias and all of these things that are very beneficial to their employees or cast members, sorry. And so it's a wonderful corporate place to work. But if you're looking for the ability to be creative or kind of spread your wings, doing your own thing, you're not going to find that with like someone or some sort of corporate entity that everything has to be this way and we need to price everything out. So if you're looking for that sort of creative, do whatever you want, that's not Disney. But I really enjoyed working for them because I felt like they were really looking out for their cast members in the ways that they knew how. But obviously, when you're working with serving thousands of guests on a daily basis, you need to be consistent and you need to cost out your ingredients and you need to do the same thing every single day. So I can understand how working there for years and years and doing maybe the same thing could get tiring. But because I was able to bounce around from role to role, maybe wasn't as, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, just kind of
kept it fresh for you.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the 8 months that I had there was amazing because I was able to do all these different things, but I could understand how, yes, maybe they have all these benefits, but being in the same role, doing the same thing would not be very fulfilling as a career.
Sure.
Yep. That makes sense. So of all the different roles that you got to bounce around and do, are there some that you liked better, some that maybe weren't quite your thing? And then also, is there anything that you learned from this experience that you have brought to your present day career?
I was always drawn towards decorating cakes when I was in the contemporary kitchen. I think that's just because that's where my heart has always taken me. For the past 4 years since I've been back, I've been a cake decorator and it's been amazing. So I think that's just where my heart has always been pulling me.
Yeah.
But being able to dabble in a little bit of everything, I mean, from making batters and production and baking things, it's just every little part of baking is very enjoyable to me. So to be able to do a wide range of it was amazing. As for taking something back, Disney could afford to supply you with the time and resources to be able to do things right. Whereas with a small business, you maybe have to cut corners or make decisions that you don't want to, or things that you're not exactly proud of, because Disney has a lot of money and
you're right. Yep.
you can do, things the way they ought to be done, or even just spread a little extra magic just because they have that money. And I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So I think I missed that, but
I think I get what you're saying is that, when resources are more limited, you might find yourself wanting to be either more creative with something or you want, I don't know. I kind of feel I've never worked in pastry or anything, so I could be completely wrong. But, I feel like maybe in a smaller business too, like if you make a mistake, you might be able to cover it up kind of a thing or fix it, as opposed to Disney would be like, start over. Yeah.
Or even, there was one time where one of the servers had come back into the kitchen and said, we have a couple out there that's celebrating their 50th anniversary. Can we do something special for them? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. So I grab a plate and I put our little Wilderness Lodge logo on there and I dip some chocolate covered strawberries and I say, wish them a magical 50th or something. And they absolutely loved it. So the fact that I was able to take time out of my day because I wasn't too worried about, I got to do this. It was just, we have enough staff to do the things that need to get done, but we're able to add that extra magical touch because they weren't paying for it, but we were able to just give it to them because we want everyone's experience to be magical. And I ended up getting a 4 keys card for doing that, which was awesome.
Yay!
So to be able to just go out of your way to make something amazing for people who weren't expecting it is not something that you can really come across or you can do when you work for a small business, because most of the time you're just too worried on trying to get the orders done because maybe you're understaffed. Disney isn't understaffed. You don't have to worry about that. Or if you have to call in sick one day, you don't have to worry about someone covering your shift because there's just plenty of people. So it's just a less stressful environment, I think.
I feel like what you just described with being able to provide that little magic touch, I mean, I feel like that's why people love Disney so much, is
Exactly.
they're one of the few places you can go to, and their cast members are empowered to make those magical moments. Obviously, they have the resources to be able to provide that, and it's not a big deal. So what a wonderful, wonderful kind of experience, and being able to work in a job where you're empowered to do that, and they support it. And to a limited extent, I think guests kind of expect that those type of things could happen. I don't think people take it for granted and think that every time something's going to happen, but when it does, it's not as surprising as it would be in some cases, I guess. I don't know, at least for me, like when something magical happens, I realize how awesome it is. And I always say, that's why we spend so much and come to Disney, because this type of stuff happens.
Exactly.
I do think it's another thing too to mention, because my normal job, or anyone's normal job, as much as you sometimes want to be able to do the extra stuff, you just like, I have a list that's like 30 things long, so you just can't. So that is one thing I've never really thought about when it came to like making magic for guests, is how you're removing that person to just focus on this one extra little thing that's not really even a thing. That's crazy too when you think of it from like the business, how the business works, and especially at some place where it's like a kitchen, because you've got all these different things that need to get going out. So the fact that one person can say, hang on, I need to go do this real quick, and everyone's like, yeah, go do it. Like that's not that's a fantasy world. That's so cool.
Now I have to ask another important question, because Teresa and I comment on this all the time, and I don't know if you did this. So if I'm asking the wrong question, just let me know. First of all, did you ever make cakes for Disney?
I think I frosted cakes.
Frosted cakes.
Disney.
But okay. I just am curious how the heck they make them so moist, because they are the most moist cakes ever. And they're always so good, but they're not like gummy, because sometimes like moist cakes can be like gummy and stuff. They have the best cakes.
I'm going to have to bring you a slice of cake from Meringue, because it's pretty moist in comparison.
Maybe I just have really bad like supermarket cakes more often, and they're kind of like dry and whatever. But I love Disney cakes.
I could maybe answer that question for you. I've seen how diligently each team from each bakery works on perfecting the recipes. And when you've got higher ups trying to figure out the perfect recipe for the perfect cake, I mean, I think there was a week at the Contemporary where they were going back and forth between buildings trying to nail down the Mickey waffle recipe, because someone's wasn't crispy enough, and then someone's wasn't sweet enough. And just the time that they take to really hone these recipes, I think you just have a lot of really brilliant people coming together to make sure that they're all on the same page. We're all making a consistent product, and it's the best possible product. I think that you just put all those people's minds together, and obviously you want an amazing moist cake, and that's what we're going to try and give you, no matter how long that takes. I think they've had plenty of time to try and figure that out.
That team is amazing, because the other thing in addition to a moist cake, and this directly impacts you, I think, is they frost it perfectly too. There's a good ratio of frosting to cake, because sometimes there's too much or not enough, and sometimes it's too sweet and can be crazy. Hats off to the culinary team, the pastry team at Disney, because they do a really nice job, and they pump out so much of it. That's the crazy thing, is to have it that good consistently when you're feeding thousands of people a day. Not everybody is going to be getting a cake every day, but like a good chunk of people will get a cake. And I don't know. I don't even know how they like produce that much and how they get it to where they need it. I mean, there's a whole assembly line back there that I just don't understand. And it's just crazy.
Well,
and reading their data to know how many to make, so they're not wasting.
Probably tell us about what the behind the scenes of the
I just don't even know what to ask.
Baking and cooking looks like. So how big are the kitchens?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question, because the Contemporary Resort kitchen consisted of 3 to 5 rooms where you had like 5 chefs or pastry cooks in each room. You had 5 cooks working for the Cal Grill desserts. You had 5 chefs working on Chef's Mickey's. You had 5 chefs doing amenities and frosted cakes. And then on the other side of the kitchen, you've got the the culinary side. Actually, I think they were 2 separate rooms. So that kitchen was massive because you're just trying to feed all the desserts for this resort, who you've got how many different locations that supply desserts. Whereas when I moved over to the Wilderness Lodge, it was quite a bit smaller. So there was, I believe, one medium-sized kitchen for maybe 5 cooks. So it was a big downshift in terms of size because they obviously don't put out as much. I mean, we have one location that put out like cookies and cupcakes, kind of like retail spot. And then there was the restaurant, Whispering Canyon. I can't remember what it was. But basically we would have one large oven where we could bake all of our baked goods and cookies. And then there was a sheeter in the back. We had a big mixer for all the pancake and waffle batters. But it depends on where they are. These kitchens could be massive and house 20 plus chefs, or there could be 2 people working for a smaller location. So it just depends on where it was. But like I said, Disney was able to supply the staff that was needed to run these kitchens.
So on a day you were working on like cakes as an example, like how many cakes would you frost in a day?
Well, I didn't really, like I said, I got to dabble in cakes when I was at Disney. I didn't really get to be the cake decorator because that's what I wanted to be. Doing cakes now as like a full-time job, I can frost maybe 20 cakes in a day, maybe 30 if I'm pushing it. So, but granted, those cakes are a little different from what they're doing because obviously Disney has a very streamlined design. You know, they're only allowed to put a certain type of, you know, image of Minnie Mouse, like that has to be approved by the higher ups. So it's a simple, but honestly, when you're practicing this skill of frosting a cake over and over and over 8 times a day or 8 hours a day, 7 days a week, you get real fast. So it's easy to pump out hundreds of cakes. I can tell you that.
That's crazy.
You know what is interesting is hearing you explain how the contemporary kitchen was, the fact that all of the desserts for all the different areas, because right, there's multiple restaurants in the contemporary that all have desserts because, I mean, we love our desserts. So it's interesting because I, again, always imagined like, oh, when I'm up at the, what is the place?
California Grill.
Yeah, when I'm up at the California Grill, I assume that the kitchen is up there and I assume that my like bakery, like I assume that it's all right there. So, I mean, it makes a lot more sense that it's all kind of this one localized area so that.
Yeah, I think with each restaurant, there is the culinary side, which is so close. That way you can get your hot food straight out of the kitchen. But as for all the pastries, I mean, they've pretty much consolidated it to this bakery that's like in the center of the resort. And then it just gets shuttled out to where it belongs. But that way we can basically keep all of our ingredients in one place and all of our chefs in one place. And we do all of our dishes in one place. And that's just a way to simplify doing just all the desserts in one area.
I mean, that makes sense because it doesn't have to be hot, like you know, your plate of dinner or whatever.
Right. I mean, and we can like prep things ahead of time. Like for the California Grill, obviously, we don't do a finished dessert. We'll do their components and then they'll finish them upstairs when they get plated up. But everything else is like cold and it can be just transported easily to where it needs to go.
Mm-hmm. Makes total sense.
This is making me want sweets.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. So one thing, I don't know if you have any insight, but one thing that I think is so cool that the bakery department does get to do at Walt Disney World is the gingerbread house in the Grand Floridian. Obviously, you didn't get to work at the Grand Floridian, but did you get to hear about that or know any more about the gingerbread house process?
I think I've learned more about that on just Disney Plus and watching all those shows because we had a little bit of a rivalry with the Grand Floridian over at the Contempo. You know, it's like, oh, the Grand Floridian. People. So that was a fun little rivalry. It wasn't serious, I don't think, but when I started working there, it was in January. So I believe at that point there wouldn't be the gingerbread house. I didn't hear much about it.
Gotcha. Nope.
Those snobs over at the Grand Floridian.
Exactly.
They haven't even been on property since the beginning. The Contemporary was one of the originals.
Mm-hmm.
That's silly
They think they're so cool.
It's funny. I really like the exterior of the Grand Floridian, and the inside's kind of cool too, but My heart is with the contemporary. And a close second would be the Polynesian. I think the Polynesian, the grounds and everything is just, and they're remodeling that for Moana and stuff now too. But the contemporary, I don't know, man. Contemporary. I don't know if I'll ever stay in a regular hotel room there though, because I can get cheaper buying renting DVC points in their tower. But I still count that as being at the contemporary because it's connected. It's part of it. So,
So what did your typical day when you were working in the contemporary or at the Wilderness, what did that look like? Apparently very early mornings, but kind of what was, I know you did a few different roles, but kind of what was the standard of how you kind of did stuff?
Well, yeah. So depending on what I was doing, my shift could be anywhere from 5 a.m. to starting at 1 p.m. until like 9 o'clock at night. So some people are in there early, like that would be the bread team, and they would focus solely on making all the doughs and yeasted products. And then at the end of the night, those would be people prepping like the muffin batters and scooping and traying up cookies to be baked off the next morning. But basically, whenever my shift would start, I would make the 30-minute drive from the complex to the resort. I would clock in, get my uniform from the laundry service that they have, which is amazing. That's one of the things that I miss so much.
Oh gosh, especially being in a kitchen. Yeah.
Disney supplies you with chef grade non-slip shoes and your uniform every day, so you don't have to wash it or worry about it. So you just go there, suit up, get your hair all tied back, and then go into the kitchen and begin production. Usually that entails just trying to figure out like your numbers, like what do I need to prep today? How many of this? How many of this? Go along, check out inventory, go grab the ingredients that I think I'm going to need for that day. Depending on the day of the week, I might be doing something different, like bread pudding is on Wednesday, or, sheeting tart dough for apple pie is on Thursday. So I kind of know how my day is going to go out. And honestly, when I'm doing production in a kitchen, the day just flies by because I'm just moving from task to task. And there's never really a dull moment. And just meeting all of the awesome people that I got to work with was a lot of fun. There's a lot of, long-term Disney employees there that would kind of give me that old bitter talk. And I'd be like, but you work at Disney. This is magical. I'm sure I just had the bright-eyed intern face that they were so used to and sick of, but it was honestly really nice to meet everyone that I worked with, and I really enjoyed whatever I was doing. And then after basically working 8 hours, I would clock out, go back to the complex, change into my casual gear, and go explore the parks until they closed. That was pretty much every day.
What a life.
That's awesome.
It was
That is so cool.
It was so great.
That's super cool.
Did you get to, I assume in the process of making things, sometimes there are defects and oopsies and whatever. Were those things that you guys could eat if they were edible at that point? Or was it like it has to go in the can or whatever the process was?
Oh, no, absolutely. I mean, they were obviously really clear about it needing to go on the waste log. Like if you have scraps of something that needs to be cut, you can eat those scraps after they get weighed and logged. But if there was a pie that broke, we're not going to serve it to a guest, so I'm able to eat that. I'd go take it on my lunch, and I got to try a lot of great things that way.
Any favorites?
We definitely do a lot of eating in the kitchen. Well, not in the kitchen itself. Like you can take it back to your lunch, but we were strongly encouraged to try everything that we're making, because you got to know, what if you accidentally added too much salt to something? You wouldn't know unless you tasted it. So we were strongly encouraged to taste everything when you're working, because you got to know that you're putting out something that tastes good, obviously.
Makes total sense.
As for favorite, I'd still got to go with that bread pudding. Just, it's so rich because you've got these day-old croissants, and that's the best thing to do with them. You soak them in this really sweet cream, and that cream is like flavored with corn. And I know it sounds funny, but that was my favorite thing because it's just so buttery and rich and sweet that I still dream about it.
Have you been able to recreate any of the things that you made at Disney World since then?
Honestly, a lot of it was your typical run-of-the-mill, like if I wanted a key lime pie tart. Like, it's really good, but it's nothing new. Or I can say that I've definitely made these things before. So it's something that I've made again and again. I'll make more bread pudding, or I've made a rich chocolate cake with chocolate chips in it. So
in your career after Disney, have people, when you've applied to workplaces, has it been an asset to you that you worked at Disney?
I've really only worked at one place since I came back from Disney. I've been working for Meringue in the 4 years that I've been back. And I think she was just more interested in the fact that I really enjoyed frosting cakes. And she was looking for a cake froster. And I said, well, I'm your girl. And we've been together ever since. And she's a great boss. So I've just quietly sat in the background with my love for Disney. I know she kind of laughs at me about it, but there are definitely days where I blast Disney in the kitchen and I'm jamming out. I don't care.
I feel like we need to order, maybe for our 5-year anniversary, we should order a Disney cake from Meringue.
There you go. And
we'll say, we need straight through me. I'll give you something.
Jessica. Yeah, but what we'll do is we'll like you be creative and design it and put as much Disney whimsy as you want or whatever, and we'll take it.
There you go.
I actually did a wedding cake that looked kind of like the Disney castle. I think when she took that order, she was like, Jessica, you're doing this because I know how much you love Disney. And it was honestly a lot of fun. I got to make these like spires out of, it's called pastillage. It's just like powdered sugar and egg whites in it, like hardens up.
That's cool.
Or gelatin. But basically, I was able to make the Disney castle in a cake. It was so much fun.
Do you have a picture of this?
I think I do. I could get it to you.
You should send it to us because that would be amazing.
I think it's definitely on theme.
Yes.
So, question. Maybe, I don't know if you know, I don't need to know exact numbers by any means, but when you were there and working on, say, like the tart station or, whatever, what was the volume that you were having to go through and try and get out in a day?
I can give you rough estimates.
Yes. Oh, yes. That's totally fine. I would even take a guesstimate.
Okay. So I'll just give you a couple examples. When I was working on the Cal Grill station and we were making these really fancy desserts, we did these Boston cream pie cupcakes that they would give to the guests. Like if it was their birthday, I think we put out 30 of those a day. And I remember because we needed to add meticulously 3 sprinkles on top. No more, no less. They had to be perfect and beautiful because the head chef was walking around, and if they weren't perfect, you would have to redo them. So those was like 30. Now you move on to like the Wave, which was the restaurant down in the Contemporary Resort. For each of those, I think we did these glass cups that served different types of like layered desserts. So like key limes or s'mores or, gosh, it's been so long, I can't remember. But for those, I think it was like a tray of 40 times 5. So 5 different desserts and like a tray of 40 per day for that restaurant. Now, Chef Mickey, we're talking miniature desserts and hundreds.
Jeepers, yeah.
Hundreds of Mickey Mousses, which is just these little mousse cups, and you stick the little chocolate ears in, or like I said, those key lime tarts. But it would be probably 1,000 small desserts a day, just because it's a buffet. So they're tiny and you got to keep them stocked. So that one was definitely where it was quantity for sure.
So the area where you went and picked up your supplies to make these different things, is it just like a massive storeroom? Like do they? I'm just curious because is it like, do they get orders like once a week? Does they get, like what is the space like for this? Is like, do they order once a week and it's this huge space? Do they order every day or every couple days? I know that you probably weren't on that side of things, but you can kind of get an idea of the storage space of where you had to get your ingredients from.
Yeah, I remember when we needed to go to like the back area to go get more product. there would be these big storerooms where they had, I mean, you had walk-in coolers and walk-in freezers full of the ingredients that you need. And I saw shipments coming in daily.
Wow.
So it was just a constant rotation of chefs coming in, pulling what they need, and then receivers taking product off the trucks, loading it, restocking. And God forbid a freezer ever die, because that happened on us. We had to get like all the chefs single file through the freezer, grab a box of things and haul it to somewhere else because we had a walk-in freezer shut down in that Florida heat. That was not fun. But yeah, we just have a constant rotation, a ton of products, because obviously you have all of these different things that are being made, so many different components, so many different ingredients. And there were people just dedicated to monitoring inventory and tracking and receiving. And I didn't want to get in their way. I was just like, what do I need? Where can I find it? I'm in and out.
I can't even imagine staples for all those things, like flour.
Oh, yeah, how much
like
flour?
how many pounds of flour
and, like, sugar, yeah.
Sugar, milk, butter, eggs.
Yeah, I know even just there was one job, like one girl who did this every single day for, I think, 8 hours a day. She was just making pancake and waffle batter.
Oh my gosh.
That's how much they were making and how much they were going through. Is just, she would be on the mixers all day, adding her dry ingredients, her liquid ingredients, bagging it up and transporting it. And I'm pretty sure she did that every day.
That's fascinating because
that's just one resort.
Yeah. Well, and I'm just thinking,
that's just contemporary.
That's just one.
I'm just thinking, like, in my mind, for some reason, I'm thinking like home chef-y kind of thought, right? Like, I feel like if you're going to get like a Mickey pancake somewhere, that they're whipping up the batter like in the back when they make your Mickey pancake. But no, they're mass producing.
Well, you have to
jugs or sacks of.
There's like 8 milk crates of pancake batter.
I miss the Riverville Terrace Mickey pancakes. Anyway,
it was really cool to see they have just so many different machines because of how mass produced or mass product there is. When they were making muffins, for example, they would make this massive 40-quart bowl of muffin batter, and how are you supposed to scoop it into their liners? He would hook this machine that had a hose in it, and he would stick the hose in the batter, and then he would go one by one and distribute batter into the liners and the pans.
Wow.
And he would fill up a whole, like one of those moving tray, like stands on wheels with just full of sheet pans of muffins. And every day.
And again,
that's what they would do. Hundreds of muffins.
One resort.
Just for the cafe, I think.
Wow.
Teresa and I have talked about this, about how, because Disney sometimes, especially during the pandemic, would release recipes for stuff that they make in the park. And they always had that little disclaimer that's like, these are modified from our mass-produced whatever. Because, like, you have to imagine how hard that would be, because you're like, okay, we're used to this takes 3 dozen eggs.
Right.
This takes 25 pounds of flour. Yeah. And it's like, okay, well, now if we ratio this down to what a home user would do, and they want to make, 20 pancakes instead of, like, 2,000 pancakes, how do you get that? That's just nuts. And, of course, baking is a science. Like, if your ratios and stuff are off, it turns out terribly. That's why James doesn't bake. He's a great cook, but he's like, I don't want to be that precise with everything. And you have to when you're baking. You know.
That's just nuts.
Did you ever, or have you since, because this is a big deal for me. You're a cake person, so maybe not, but macarons.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When I was at the Wilderness Resort, my chef, I don't exactly remember why, but he said, like, part of your final project, I want you to make me something. So I was able to have free time, and I decided to make a macaron that had the gray stuff.
Oh.
So that was my final project, and I'm like, I want to learn macarons, and I want to do them perfectly, and I want you to, like, give me tips on how I can make them better. And so I did my research, and I made these beautiful white macarons. I can also send you a picture of those.
Oh, yes.
And I presented it to him and I'm like, okay, what do you got to say? And he's like, nothing, they're perfect.
Oh.
So that was a lot of fun. And at my current job, I pretty much do a lot of the French macarons. So that's a skill that has stayed in my repertoire.
I really want to learn how to make them, but I'm terrified because there's two types of people online. There's the people who are like, it's not as scary as people make it seem, and you just have to, there's like these like 3 or 4 little tips that you have to make sure you do, and it'll be fine. And then there's the people that are like, these are the most, you have to be the most skilled person on the planet to make these things. And so I'm always like, I don't know which one's right, and I'm afraid.
It depends on the kind of, outcome you're looking for. If you're looking for a delicious cookie, you can do any recipe out there. But if you want to be absolutely critiquing on, is your foot the right size? Are the tops flat and shiny? There are so many factors that go into the macaron. I mean, the temperature, the humidity of the air, and the room that you're working in. Whether or not you're working with a home oven or a commercial oven. I've learned this myself. Trying to make them at home is nothing like making them at work. And when we moved downtown, my workspace, the ovens were different. And I had to totally relearn how to make French macarons using a different type of oven. So there's a lot of trial and error, especially with how much you fold it, because that's going to dictate how fluid your batter is. And if you overfold it, they're going to be cracked and they're not going to look right, and they're not going to be nice. But if you underfold it, then they're going to be domed and they maybe won't rise correctly. So there is a bit of art and science to it. But I say with just good amount of practice and the desire to learn, it's not terribly difficult to pick up. And the result is really worth it. I mean, I've had some fantastic French macs just because you can do so many fun things with them. I mean, we've done things in the past where you can infuse the macaron cookie with different teas. So an Earl Grey cookie with a honey buttercream is one of my favorites. Or we do a lot of fun flavors at the place I work right now. It's always some sort of curd in the middle with a berry buttercream or a jam, or there's always fun, rich, dark chocolate. I mean, just the flavors are pretty endless and you can get really creative with it.
So
now I want
practice. Well, now you also know locally where you can get some.
There you go.
Is that why they're so pricey? Because they're such a skill thing to make? I feel like because wherever you buy them, they're always, for
Absolutely.
what they are, they're expensive.
Absolutely. And I totally understand. I wouldn't pay for them personally, but I would just make them. But that's just because when you're making a batch, you end up with a lot on the edges that just didn't turn out right. They're lopsided. They've got cracks. So the waste is kind of high, and your yield has to be good, but otherwise they're labor intensive. They take a long time. So just from mixing the batter to getting them piped on the tray takes me about an hour and a half.
Wow.
And then with the method that I've learned how to use the oven where we currently work, it's like turning the oven on, turning the oven off, turning the oven on, turning the oven off. That's another hour.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
And you have to let them sit, before you bake them so that they get that crust. So it's just a time-intensive, labor-intensive process. That's why they're so expensive.
You know what? That sounds well worth the whatever.
Yeah, I'll tell you
$3
though.
a cookie.
I'll work out a deal with your current place of employment that if you don't want to waste the lopsided ones on the side, if you want to pipe the crap into them or whatever, I'm fine with a lopsided macaron. So I'll buy them for I don't know, whatever you charge for them, a certain percentage off or something. And then you don't have to throw them away, and then I'll be happy camper with macarons.
I would sell ugly Macs just because I'm a thrifty person. I don't think my boss would go for that.
You'll just have to sneak them out the back door to me. Instead of throwing them in the garbage, I'll be like, here's a 20. What do you got? I'll never say where I got them from.
You know what's even creepier? The back door is to the alley. So you'd be doing these deals in the alley.
Like a macaron drug deal in the alley.
Don't worry, none of that's going to go in the podcast.
No, but that's hilarious, though.
Oh, man.
I could see me doing that. I love macarons. I love that crispiness, and Sometimes you get really weird combinations, though. People put some weird stuff in macarons because, like you said, there's a lot of variation you can do with them, and it's just like
people being creative. That's amazing
Exactly.
that you talked through the process of making a macaron, because now when I go to the Disneyland Resort and I get this like giant Mickey shaped one.
oh my goodness.
Okay, first of all, I thought that was amazing that they did those, but now I'm like, how long did that take? That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Or the fact that even like we just had one that was shaped like
A traffic cone.
Yep, it was shaped like a traffic cone, and it had like a scary image on it. So I'm like, so not only that's probably a whole different thing that they had to figure out, because now it's
Like
a
a
different
shape.
shape than the other.
Yeah, I
ones.
was gonna say I've seen those videos on Instagram where they have multiple different colors of the macaron batter, and they're making like designs out of them. And I can only imagine, having made them, how long it's taking. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're charging $20 a cookie for that.
Yeah, just crazy. So since you spent a lot of time obviously in the kitchens, I want to talk about some of your time outside of the kitchens. What were some of the cool things that you got to experience as a cast member? And I don't know if you got to do any like fun parties, or if there was any cool things that they did for you like outside of your normal job.
Yeah, so now that you mention it, they did a lot of fun things for the interns because they wanted to support all the college students who were helping the park and running. And so every couple of months, they would come up with like a complex event. There would like be a DJ and a photo op. Like, so I got to meet Moana, and there was just this big party, and they threw that for the cast members at the complexes. There was another one where they rented out the water park for the whole night, and they just let all the cast members come in. I think they bussed us over, and they supplied us with food, and it was just for us, and they got a DJ, and it was just a big party for us. That was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
That's so cool.
Every month they did something for the college students. It was
Wow.
like bingo or a game, and where you could like win a week's worth of groceries in a bag. And just, they were really about the community of just keeping it fun for all the college interns. Because some of them had, custodial jobs. So you want to make sure that they're still enjoying their time at Disney, but they definitely wanted us to be making friendships and doing things outside of work.
I mean, we've heard custodial gets kind of a bad rap, but custodial actually could be a really cool job. I know on the surface it doesn't seem like it, but they have a lot of freedom of being able to go different places and see a lot of things that somebody like, let's say, a ride operator, you're stuck at your one or two attractions that you learn, where a custodial person gets a lot of freedom and can go look at and go in backstage of a lot of things. So for somebody like me and Teresa, who are like Disney nerds and wanted, like, Teresa was endlessly excited that we got stopped on Indiana Jones and the lights got turned on and everything, a custodial position for us would be a great
It wouldn't
great
be
thing.
very good for me, because I wouldn't want to be cleaning some of the things custodial cast members have to clean. So I'd somehow be like that custodial person that just doesn't have their radio on but is wandering all over the place.
And you'd last a week.
Yep, and I wouldn't last very long.
Teresa, where are you? Teresa.
Relating to that, there was another cast member perk that I really wanted to be a part of. So Disney has this website available to their cast members where I think you can like log in, look at schedules, trade shifts, stuff like that. But they always had like this lottery for like behind the scenes experiences.
Oh.
So available to like cast members only, or I mean, they even did some where you could like sign up for yoga at Magic Kingdom, but they had these behind the scenes, limited number of people, and like you could throw your name in there, and if you won, you would get to go see that. Unfortunately, I was never selected, but that was like a really cool perk, like because you basically got to go see what the Haunted Mansion was like when the lights were turned on. I was like, wow, that sounds like not safe for magic.
I feel like you need to go become a cast member and sign up for these things.
I need to find myself a job that I would either be able to not be too distracted, or like me being distracted would be an okay thing.
Tour guide. I'm telling you, tour guide.
Oh, you wanted to go to Space Mountain? Well, that's too bad, because I would like to go over to the Haunted Mansion now. Let's go.
A VIP guide, I think, because you'd get to do everything. Like,
for
everywhere.
sure, you get to do everything. Yeah. I don't know. I'm thinking something kind of like where you're still a cast member, but you're not maybe like on stage in the park would be a good way to go, because then you can kind of separate out. Because I feel like Jessica had the like best of both worlds. She
didn't have to deal with guests.
Be a cast member, do her like Disney stuff, but then like clock out and then just go to the park.
That's true. That's true. All right, we've arrived at our final question. You've already worked at a Disney park, but if you could work at a Disney park again, or maybe even just Disneyland, what would you do, and why would you do it? Sky's the limit. It can be anything you want it to be. It can be a made-up position. It can be a real position.
Role. So I thought a lot of this when I received my prompt. And honestly, I would to be like a Disney secret shopper.
Ooh.
I know that's not a role, but basically I would want to be able to go around to the stores and make sure that everyone's experiencing the magic that needs to be happening, or monitor the rides. You know, are the guests happy? Ride them, of course, but be able to attend the shows and just kind of work out the bugs, or just kind of sprinkle some magic. Like, I want to be the Disney Tinkerbell that just goes around. No one knows who I am, but I'm just making sure that the vision that Disney wanted for the parks was being upheld.
So basically,
That
you want to
sounds
be
perfect.
a professional guest.
Yes. Yes, I want to be a professional guest. I want to be paid to go through Walt Disney World and just live the life and make sure that everyone is happy.
I think that's good. You make it sound silly with it being a professional guest, but I think it's good because, right, like that'd be a great way to like go around and make sure, you know, because then everybody acts differently when the boss is around. And of course, when a cast member comes up and asks somebody, hey, is everything okay? A lot of times people will say, yeah, oh no, yeah, it's great, even if it's not great. So I think it'd be good to have kind of, like you said, like a secret shopper that's kind of like, I don't know.
Like incognito. So I can solve problems, but they don't know that I'm working there, and just, make sure that everything is going wonderfly.
She sees a crying kid, and then all of a sudden it's like, puts a balloon in there. Yeah. You just see like kids having a temper tantrum. You just walk by and you're like, here's a balloon. They just keep going.
Like Mary Poppins, like sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. Oh my goodness.
Here's a bubble wand.
That sounds like a great job. If they ever do something like that, I also would like that job.
Here's a Mickey and Premium bar. You're gonna have to have a very large bag for all of this.
You're very expensive to work for them, because you're like, have a balloon, have a Mickey Premium bar, have popcorn. Like, my goodness.
Disney can afford it.
Yeah. And they're all popcorn.
They can afford it until Teresa starts handing out free stuff to everybody, and then they're like, actually, we're losing money now somehow.
I like it.
Close this out?
Yes. So thank you so much, Jessica, for spending some time this evening chatting with us about your time.
And making us hungry.
And making Tag hungry. About your time at Walt Disney World and in the behind the scenes of where some of our most favorite things about the parks, the desserts, come from.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
It's so funny because everyone, there's so many different roles in Disney, at the Disney parks or whatever. And it's just weird because you wouldn't never had I considered until we chatted today that there is some person that's just making just gallons and gallons and gallons of pancake and waffle mix and just, stuff like that. You just don't think about it. You take that kind of stuff for granted. So it's fascinating to hear how all this stuff comes to be. And it just, of course, it's this beautiful cake slice is not the only cake slice that's in the resort, but the amount of detail that is put into these things, it makes you feel like it's special. But again, you don't remember that there's hundreds, if not thousands, of the exact same thing out there. So it's really cool to hear kind of how all that comes together. So thank you so much for sharing that with us.
We got a piece of feedback from our pal Tim, who wanted to correct us on mispronouncing curacao.
Yep. So we were saying Blue Caraco, and
I was not in the room for that.
he very kindly let us know in a very polite fashion and sent us a video on how to say it. So it's Blue Curacao.
Yes.
Yeah, so I just want to let everybody know, for the record, that we know we're really bad at pronouncing things.
Words
it's kind
are
of
hard.
Yeah, it's kind of our signature thing that we do. If you listen to us, especially when they have, like a lot of cultural dishes and stuff that we have to read about, obviously alcohol names. We actually, for our interview this week, we learned a different way to say Macron.
Yep.
So
Macron.
yeah, so always a learning curve. So that is that.
But thank you, Tim, for very politely letting us know and helping us out with getting us back on the right track with how to say that fun, bright blue alcohol.
Drink.
It's okay. I'll be the only weekly tier without an answer. Make sure you send your questions to Producer James or Producer Vern at trivia@DLWeekly.net.
Welcome back. How do you think you did?
I don't think we did very good in the first part of the questions, but I'm pretty solid on the what queue are we in?
I'm decently confident. We're not full on confident, but I'm feeling pretty all right.
Well, I'm gonna agree with you. It wasn't your best day today, but let's find out the answers together. So
Sounds good.
Your listener submitted questions. First one from listener Whitney N. The beloved song "Grim Grinning Ghosts" has an alternate title. Bonus point if you know the composer. You both went with a variation of "Happy Haunts," and you thought the composer was ex atencio. The answer we were looking for was "The Screaming Song," and the lyricist was ex atencio, but the composer was Buddy Baker.
Oh, yes. The Screaming Song.
The Screaming Song.
I would love to know why. Why?
I don't know, because there's not
There is a
really...
section, if you listen to the full thing, that goes dum dum ah dum dum ah.
There is?
Yeah.
Yeah? Actually,
I listen to it on my Disney Pandora station.
You don't have
quite
the
frequently.
full
Apparently, I don't
soundtrack
have the
of it.
I don't have the full version.
Yeah, if you listen to the full version of the Haunted Mansion, I think it's like a 15-minute track because it goes through like everything.
well, the more you know. Your second question from listener Stephen S. The original concept for this ride featured Mel Brooks, who later inspired the idea for the ride mechanic. What is this ride? Your thoughts were Radiator Springs Racers. The answer I was looking for was Tower of Terror.
Oh.
Oh. Should have known. So that kind of works with his don't think of like a current thing necessarily.
Yep.
Mhm.
The third listener-submitted question from listener Liberty M. In the early days of the mansion, what caused some crew members of the janitorial staff to not come back to work? You were thinking either the ballroom was too creepy, or maybe they were tired of cleaning up cremains. The correct answer I was looking for was motion sensors that had been installed by the Imagineers kept turning on the ghost effects.
Oh, no.
And scaring all of the janitorial staff away.
Oh, no.
I don't blame
that'd
him.
be terrible.
I wonder if it was like the pop-up heads
the
and
pop-ups
stuff.
and the stuff out in the graveyard scene.
You're like sweeping along and then it poops up. And,
No.
ooh.
Oh, that'd be bad.
Those poor janitorial staff members, cast members.
Your fourth and final listener-submitted question from listener Kayla Jean. What opening day attraction blew several fuses, causing a power outage? Tag, you said Peter Pan, and Teresa, you said Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. The correct answer I was looking for was Mr. Toad's Wild Ride.
Good job, Teresa. Good job, Teresa.
And your bonus question for today. What queue are you in? You can walk under the People Mover track. You can see the Astro Orbiter. You can clearly see the castle. And the queue itself goes right along the backside of Pixie Hollow. You are, in fact, standing in the queue for Buzz Lightyear's Astro Blasters.
Woo! Good job, us.
We did it.
And as I was writing that one, I actually had to quickly duck out of the queue and run around to the other side of Pixie Hollow just to confirm that I was, in fact, on the other side of Pixie Hollow.
too funny.
That's
That's
the
dedication, Vern.
The lengths you go to.
I will not write a bad "What queue are you in?" So, listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Do you think that you've got the perfect question that can really stump them in the future? If you've got something that you're just dying for us to ask, feel free to send that in to us at trivia@dlweekly.net.
Well, we will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
So until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.